Welcome to the Weekend Eve. I am Brian Crest, the awesome voice, with Coach 24, my brother with another mother, Darwin Penny, and behind the scenes, running the show, Mr. DJ Scatter, George Walker. This is Any Given Sunday, and we are going to have a great show. Now, Darwin Penny, Coach 24, is not here tonight. He had to go out of town, leaving me high and dry again. Poor me. You guys need to start feeling sorry for me. But no, anyway. So he's out of town, so it's just me and Mr. Walker running the show tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show last week with Nasir Clinton with his boxing skills. I hope everything works out for him, and hopefully he does well on the from the 3rd to the 10th. We've got a lot going on tonight. The Royals have made some news. One, they have a new manager, and I'm not sure about him. I was more sure about Mike Matheny than I was this guy, and I would rather talk about it when Coach 24 comes back, and we discussed about it. But about it when Coach. But Ryan O'Hearn signed a 1-year, $1.4 million contract to avoid arbitration. So he will be playing for the Royals again next year. But the main topic is about a stadium. You know, people talk about how phenomenal our stadium is, and it is a phenomenal stadium. But John Sherman is talking about wanting to put down, in fact, not talking about it, it is going to happen. When and where exactly is the key right now, but it is going to happen. I know a lot of people are not happy. Here's the thing. I grew up with parents, and they have pretty much have set in their ways, so they don't, so I mean, I remember moving a little bit when I was younger, but once I started going to kindergarten, I remember my parents living in 3 places, in a duplex in Grandview, which you can't get off from the frontage road anymore. In fact, there is a storage place that you can store all your stuff at and everything else. It's behind there, but you have to go in a different route to go get it from where I used to be able to go. And then we moved into a house on the other side of Butcher Green Elementary School. This was in Grandview, Missouri. And then my parents, 26 years ago, moved out to Peculiar. So they have been pretty established. Well, the reason why I'm saying this is a lot of people love Royal Stadium. And why don't you? Whenever people come in from out of town, they do enjoy seeing that stadium. It is a beautiful stadium. The architects who made Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium did a phenomenal job. And yes, they've had gone through some remodeling and some makeover, but it's still a beautiful place. They did the makeover so we could get the 2012 All-Star Game, which everybody just totally enjoyed and loved the stadium. But in order to move into the 21st century, this is going to have to happen. Whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. I remember my sister and I last year, we went to St. Louis. My sister took me this on a early birthday gift last year for my birthday, which was in February. And so we went in September and went to St. Louis, and we went to the game, and I'm not a St. Louis fan by any mean. I'm all Kansas City. I'm not St. Louis, but I will have to admit that stadium was phenomenal. And it was awesome. And here was the thing. We went to the game, the parking was a little rough, but it wasn't really that bad. I mean, I know people always, they like certain things and they don't want to change, but the parking was okay. We got in, and then afterwards we decided to go eat. Well, instead of getting in our car, waiting a while to go through, the parking lot and get out and then drive somewhere, which would have taken at least 10, 15 minutes once you've gotten out, because you're not going to Taco Bell across the street from the stadium, and you're not going to Subway and stuff like that. You want to go somewhere to eat. Well, we went somewhere really nice in St. Louis, and the whole time I was looking, we ate, and I can't remember the place right now, but it was phenomenal because I looked to the right, and it was raining. It just started raining, so we just missed it. We got inside and we waited. We ate and good food and everything else, but I look to the right, and the stadium is across the street. And I'm like, wow. I was not a believer of doing downtown stadium until I saw that. And I was like, it's going to happen. I'm not going to know when exactly. John Sherman has a better idea on doing that and needing to pick out the place. But it really was really awesome. And we're still considered country bumps, on the West Coast and on the East Coast. I mean, I don't think they think about it as much now, but when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, people still thought on the East and West Coast, thought we were still riding around in stagecoaches and wagons and everything else, So we need to update our status, so we need to get a downtown stadium. You're gonna infiltrate millions and billions of dollars. I mean, yeah, they're going to put in, supposedly they need a $2 billion and it's not just to do a stadium, it's to do the whole district. And so I am looking forward to it. But the thing of it is change. A lot of people don't like change, and Royal Stadium is a beautiful, like I said, beautiful stadium, but it's going to have to go, unfortunately. But here's the other part of it. Now you open it up completely for Arrowhead Stadium or GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, but it gives them the opportunity to build a new stadium and a new, up-to-date stadium where it has a roof in it. We can do Super Bowls. It would open parking. I mean, yes, it's going to take a few years. It's not like it's going to happen next week or anything. The old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't even built in 8 days. It was built in a couple more days than that. But you have to go with the flow, and you got to move in order to succeed. You can't stay in the same place that you've always been. When you wake up each morning, you are going to either get better or you're going to get worse. You can't stay the exact same. And so Kansas City, by doing this, is going to get better. This is, they built Sprint Center, which is now T-Mobile Center, and it helped out a lot. The power and light district came, and so we had Kemper Arena forever, and they did. In fact, the last NCAA tournament that we participated in, which was in 1988. had Kemper Arena, but now Kemper Arena is the old horse that's out in the pasture, and the new Stallions, which is the Power and Light District and T-Mobile, has moved on and has become a better system, a better place for people to come. I mean, when the Royals were winning the AL crown and going to the World Series, I mean, we got to, Eric Hosmer and all them, they went down to the Power and Light District and everybody got to party. In '85, it wasn't like that, I mean, yeah, it was still good for when that was, but it was not. But it was way better when you had the Power and Light District and everything, and you had everybody down there downtown celebrating, not at Royal Stadium, but out downtown at Power and Light Stadium. And so that's what you need to do in order to move on, move forward. And I think with this $2 billion district overhaul, yeah, you're going to have to tear down some buildings. Yeah, you're going to have to renovate some areas. You're going to have to make changes, but these are changes that are for the better. We're not making changes to make our lives miserable. We're trying to do it to make it a better product. And yes, I know the Royals haven't been playing very well lately, the last several years. I get that. I'm there too, but I go to the games and stuff, and we need to support this. I know a lot of people are not liking it. In fact, it's probably, from what I've seen, at least a 2-to-1 not liking it over liking it. But you have to open your mind up and make, try to visualize the positives in this. We're not doing it to try to hurt people and make it worse than it is. We're trying to make it better. And like I said, more people are going to come out. When they do come out, they're going to want to go to a game, go across the street, and go to a restaurant. I remember in Dallas, when I went with my girlfriend at the time, we went on down to Texas, Dallas, and went to a Texas Rangers game. This was the old stadium, the one that they just tore down before they built this brand new one that they had. And you drove right up to the street. I mean, it's like driving up to your house and getting out and walking up the driveway and going in. And that's how that was. And Texas Stadium, or Jerry Jones Stadium, I'm going to call it AT&T Stadium, was right catty corner. You could walk up the street and be there, just like it was at Arrowhead. And then across the street from the stadium was a Walmart. So you had all that stuff. We cannot do a Walmart where we're at the Truman Complex. You could not put a Walmart there, but they were able to do that, and then they turned right around and built a newer stadium right after that. So I mean, they were improving and making it better. So I went there, and it was a great venue. So we need to be able to go to a Royals game, and then afterwards go dancing, go to a club, go sightseeing, go check out downtown Kansas City, because it has been an eyesore to a point until Power and Light District came. And even then, people are still saying, well, yeah, it's somewhat eyesore. No, well, you've got the River Market. You have Power and Light District. You have all those areas now that you did not have 15, 20 years ago. So you need to enjoy this. And so, and that was my piece. So anyway, hopefully somebody will call in and I would love to hear what you guys think. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. Give us a call. Speak your piece. Tell us that you like it or don't like it, and why you don't like it or why you like it. So anyway, we're going to go to baseball, and they had the World Series last week, and Dusty Baker finally got his World Series championship as a coach and everything else. Well, now we have the Cy Young voting and the NL Cy Young and the AL Cy Young voting. And so Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins took all 30 points for 30 first place votes for 210 votes and ended up winning the National League Cy Young voting. Max Fried from Atlanta was second. Julio Urias from the Dodgers was third. Aaron Nola from Philadelphia was fourth, and Zach Gallen from Arizona was fifth. And in the AL, Justin Verlander took all 30 first place votes for the AL and won it. He had 210 votes. Won the AL Cy Young. And then Dylan Cease from the Chicago White Sox was second. Alex Manoah from Toronto was third. Shohei Ohtani was fourth, which, I thought maybe he would have been a little bit higher. Maybe not won the Cy Young, but at least would have taken second. But he was fourth. He was... he was 15 points behind Cease. Dylan Cease had 14 first-place votes, 10 second, 5 third, and 1 fourth. And then Alec Amoa had 7 second-place votes, 13 third-place votes, and 10 fourth-place votes for 87 points. Shohei Ohtani had 9 second-place votes, 7 third-place votes, 12 fourth-place votes, and 1 fifth-place votes for 82 points. And then Framber Valdez, on the winning Houston Astros team, had 1 fourth-place vote and 12 fifth-place votes for 14 points. And then they had the Rookie of the Year. And Rookie of the Year in the AL was Julio Rodriguez, the shortstop from Seattle, who had a phenomenal year. I believe he was shortstop. He was either shortstop or outfield. He had 29 of the 30 first-place votes and had 148 points. Adley Rushman from Baltimore, the catcher from Baltimore, had 1 first place vote and 68 points. Stephen Kwan from Cleveland was 3rd place, and Bobby Witt Jr. was 4th. He was a distant 4th, and I would have thought that he would have been a little bit farther up than that. I didn't think he would win, but I thought that he performed well enough to be in at least the top 3. And then for the National League Rookie of the Year, it was between 2 Atlanta Braves players. Michael Harris II took 1st place, edged out his teammate Spencer Strider. Michael had 22 first-place votes. Spencer had the other 8. And then Michael had the 8 second-place votes for 134 points. Spencer had 21 second-place votes and had 103 points. And then Brendan Donovan from St. Louis was 3rd with 22 votes. And so then I just saw that they did the National League MVP voting, so it was pretty much between 2 St. Louis players, Paul Goldsmith and Nomar Arenado. And I know I screwed his name up, but anyway, he didn't win, so that's why I screwed it up. But Paul Goldsmith won the National League MVP, and the American MVP is in between Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, which I imagine it's going to be Aaron Judge, but it could go actually either way. Both of them had a phenomenal year. Ohtani was more he did it pitching and batting, kind of like a Babe Ruth. And then Aaron Judge, obviously everybody knows, hit 62 home runs for the Yankees, which broke the American League record. And here's the ironic thing. The three National League players, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa, all have tainted images. I'm not saying that they're guilty. They just have tainted images on their home runs, while the three American League players who was in the top three of all time, Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, and Aaron Judge, are more cleaner, and they are all from the Yankees. So I'm thinking that Aaron Judge is going to win. I'd like to see how. I'm hoping to find out how close it is by the end of the show. I'm not totally sure. So, excuse me. And so, but anyway, I think Aaron Judge had a phenomenal year. Now, saying that, the guy that caught his 62nd baseball, and was already offered $3 million, declined it. He declined the offer and now is going to take it into auction. So it's going to be interesting to see how much more is he going to get, or is he not going to get it. Mr. Walker, what's your chances on him getting more than $3 million?
Well, with the inflation that's in there right now, there is a possibility on the ball being worth, or not being worth, but let's say that somebody would bid more than $3 million. There's a lot of people, even with this inflationary times and stuff, that are walking around with a lot of cash, and they look for investments. And whatever they bid on it, probably within another 2 or 3 years, it'll be worth more than that. Like JG said, he bought this picture for a couple $100,000. Now the thing's worth $1 million.
Yep.
So you got money, you can make more money. So if they bid $5 million on it, you give it another 2 or 3 years, and they may turn it into a $10 million run. So I think there's a good possibility, especially since a reputable organization has offered $3 million.
Right.
So we could pretty much say it's worth $3 million.
Yeah.
And it probably would go over that. There's somebody that would want it personally.
Right.
For more than that.
Oh yeah. And so when McGwire hit his home runs, and Barry Bonds, they had millionaires. Billionaires were just starting to surface along, and now there's a ton of billionaires, and I got a feeling within the next 10 years you're going to have a trillionaire showing up somewhere. And so, and as Mr. Walker says, somebody will have a lot of money and want to make I won't say a good investment, but they will like to make investment in getting that 62nd baseball hit by Aaron Judge. So we are at the...
And then they could always loan it to Cooperstown.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Once you bought it, you could still make it available to the public.
Well, maybe they'll make Rob Manfred pay for it, because I'm telling you what, he's been paying. Oh my gosh, he's a horrible commissioner. He makes Roger Goodell look like a genius. But excuse me. So anyway, so we got baseball, and I'm hoping, like I said, I was hoping to find out if Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani had won the AL MVP. So we're getting ready for the NFL. Tonight we have the Tennessee Titans playing the Green Bay Packers. Now, last week, Green Bay was almost buried. In fact, they were taking the shovel and they were starting to throw in the dirt on them. And then in the fourth quarter, they came back and won. Now, here's a stat that, and I wish this is really what I was hoping Coach 24 would be here, because I was going to ask him. Well, the Dallas Cowboys, when they go into the fourth quarter with a 14-point lead, was 195-0. Well, they went into this game against Green Bay. They were up 2 touchdowns, and they turned around and gave up 2 touchdowns, went into overtime, and then they lost. Mike McCarthy turned around and tried to go for it on fourth down and made it really easy for the Packers to get the game-winning field goal. And with that, Dallas is now 195-1. So they have been around for 62 years, since 1960. They had never lost in 62 years when they were up 2 touchdowns in a game and going into the fourth quarter and blew it. They blew it. Oh, my goodness. I know Coach 24 right now is probably just going, oh, my gosh, he's pulling his hair out. And he is not a fan of Mike McCarthy. That I can say for sure. I know he's definitely not a fan of him now. So, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to halftime, and then we will get into the NFL. And then we will talk about, since Coach 24 is not here, I will do his version of Penny for Your Thoughts. So 816-599-6893 is the phone number. Give us a call, speak your piece, and we're going to go into halftime now. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will head back out. And this is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. All right, we are back in the second half of Any Given Sunday here on KUAW. If you want to check us out, it's KUAW.radio, or if you want to go internet, you can go KUAW.org, and you can check us out. So, and check out all the other fine programs that are that we have during the week and on the weekends too. So, just not my show. Mine and Coach 24's show, but check out everybody else's show. So we have a great program. We have a great radio station, so definitely check us out. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. Give us a call. Speak your piece. And so I'm just going to do this because Coach 24 is not here, so I have to entertain myself. Now, Mr. Walker, DJ Scatter, will humor me with his wisdom every once in a while. So, by the way, how are you doing tonight? I didn't even get to ask you that.
Oh, we're doing just great this evening. Thanks for asking.
There you go. So, anyway, I do a prediction show. And so Coach 24 gives me his predictions, and so we go and base them on comparison with the NFL Network guys, Rich Eisen, Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, and Michael Irvin. They used to have Marshall Falk, but there was an issue happening, and he was no longer with them. But I've got a feeling that Emmanuel Sanders will eventually join them and be on the team, I think. So anyway, so after last week, Kurt Warner went, I believe it was like 25-2 the last 2 weeks. He picked Detroit over Green Bay. He picked everybody except for the Buffalo game. And so he overtook the lead from Steve Mariucci. I am 9 games back of Kurt Warner. So, actually, I was doing well. I was like I believe it was in 4th place. Now I am tied for 3rd with Rich Eisen. Coach 24 struggled this year. Last year, he was totally just kicking butt. He has struggled a little bit this year. And he is at 78-57. I was at 81-54. And then this past week, I went 10-4. I lost to Seattle. I lost to Chicago. They lost to Detroit, which I couldn't believe, especially after the way they played against like New England, and even Justin Fields had a field day. He was still running the ball all over the place. They were averaging over 200 yards, and they still lost to Detroit on a last minute score and extra point. So, and then I lost to Dallas, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then Philadelphia. I picked Philadelphia to beat the Washington Redskins. And then Coach 24 lost to Philadelphia. He picked the Rams over Arizona and lost. And he picked Dallas and lost. He picked the Vegas Raiders and lost. And then he picked the Buffalo over Minnesota. Now, I did pick Minnesota. I did pick Indianapolis. I did pick Arizona. And I will tell you what, Indianapolis, this is just amazing because you pulled he is a football guy, but he had no college or professional head coaching experience, and this was the first time that a coach in the NFL did that since 1961 when Steve Van Buren for the Philadelphia Eagles took over for head coaching. And that was 61 years ago. We wasn't even alive at that time. Now, you wasn't alive now, were you, Mr. Walker? Yeah. Oh, he was barely alive. But Coach 24 and I, we were not even thought of. Absolutely. My mom was a teenager. She just turned a teenager at that time. So that tells you how often that happens. And yet, Josh McDaniels, who has been a horrible coach, I mean, he was horrible at Denver. He won his first 6 games when he got to Denver in 2009, and then since then he is 7-24, including 2-7 this year. So I mean, he is not that great of a coach. And you've got guys that are retiring on the Raiders team because they don't want to even put up with it. Usually, when like last year, the Chiefs, they had struggled. They went 2-4. People were worried that the Chiefs were not going to be that good, and they could have easily disbanded. But no, because of the leadership, because of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, and Steve Spicolo, and Patrick Mahomes, they pulled together and became a great team, and then they ended up going to the AFC Championship game for the 4th straight year. Raiders are not going to do that, and I don't know if they can do that. People are talking, well, maybe you should give them a few years. Well, they're already talking about getting rid of him, but they can't because he's under contract and he's costing too much money. Well, Mark Davis is nickel and diming that team. They are at Las Vegas. They are making millions and millions of dollars, for being in Vegas, for the contracts, the TV contracts, everything else. And this guy is driving a what is that? Mini Cooper. He is driving a Mini Cooper. I mean, I know Hunt is not driving a Mini Cooper. He's driving a very nice car. He's not going to extinguish money out. Yes, he did pay his quarterback and stuff, and so did the Raiders. The Raiders paid Darren Waller. They paid Humphrey or Renfro. They paid Derek Carr. I mean, they paid out a whole bunch of money, which was wasted money, and so I just don't get what they did. But I will give Indianapolis credit for this week. It made Jim Irsay look like a genius for bringing in Jeff Sunday. But here's the key. They're playing Philadelphia at home this week, and Philadelphia is reeling off their first loss of the season, which the Miami Dolphins are probably already popped the champagne and drinking toast for the guys that are still there from 50 years ago. Which it was 50 years ago, was when Miami Dolphins went 17-0 and still is the only undefeated football team in any of the 4 sports. And so not just in the NFL history, but in the 4 sports. And yes, I realize baseball has 162 games and basketball and hockey have 80 and 82 games, but still, that is still an amazing accomplishment. So they are still celebrating that. So Philadelphia is reeling. Washington took care of business Monday night, and so Philadelphia is going to come in, and Philadelphia is either going to struggle again with the Colts, or they're going to come in and just totally work them over, and then the Jeff Saturday coaching off the street deal will not pan out. So, but let's get into the Dallas game. And so the Dallas, we were talking about we were talking about a stat, Mr. Walker and I. When Dallas is up 14 points or more going into the 4th quarter, they are 195-0. In the 62 years since 1960 when they came into this league, which Lamar Hunt had part was part of the reason why he ended up going to the AFL and did the AFL. But anyway, so Dallas Cowboys comes into the league, NFL league, 1960. They're 195-0 until last week. They blew the lead and lost the game. So now they're 195-1. And so they just totally just lost it in the fourth quarter. The defense that was totally dominating Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden was getting lit up. Christian Watson, a rookie who had been struggling all this season, he's been injured. He even had 2 drop passes in that game. Ended up with 3 touchdown passes, and ended up getting a victory for the Green Bay Packers, which now puts them at 4-6. And instead of throwing dirt on their grave, they are now rising back up. And there's only 2 games. Well, they're a game and a half behind the Dallas Cowboys. So, and in my power rankings, here's what I've got in my power rankings this week. So Dallas, who was in my top 5, dropped to number 8. They are 6-3. Number 1 is Kansas City after the Buffalo game. Philadelphia is still number 2 after their loss. Because I had Kansas City number 3, or no, I had actually Kansas City number 2 after they lost to the Jets. And Buffalo was number 3. They dropped to number 4. But Kansas City's number 1. Philadelphia is number 2. Minnesota, with their victory over Buffalo in Buffalo, is 8-1. 4th is Buffalo at 6-3. 5 is Miami Dolphins, 73. 6 is the Baltimore Ravens at 6-3. 7 is Tennessee Titans at 6-3. 8 is the Dallas Cowboys at 6-3. 9 is the New York Jets at 6-3. And 10, who is still breathing life in their playoff lives, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5-5. So they are, I actually don't have the New York Giants, and I should have had put them in there somewhere. And I forgot about that. The Giants are at 7-2, and they have a game this week against, let's see, they are playing the Detroit Lions in New York. Now, here's the issue. In Buffalo, they're talking about 6 feet of snow, not 6 inches. I mean, 6 inches would be a lot. And here in Kansas City, that would be a lot. And it would make my delivering mail during the day a rough go. But they're talking 6 feet of snow. So if they're doing 6 feet of snow in Buffalo, I wonder how they're going to do it in New York, because the Jets are on a bye this week. So, oh no, they were on a bye last week. So they are playing. Who are they playing? They are on the. Oh, I can't. Oh, there they are. They're playing New England. The Jets are. The Giants are playing at home against Detroit. So that could be an issue too. But they have talked about moving the game from Buffalo and into another site. So we won't know anything about that. Now, here's the thing. It's kind of hard to dictate. You know, this is Thursday night, so you've got 48 or 72 hours. We're probably a little bit less than 72 hours now, but you've got less than 72 hours to decide where you're going to have this and if the snow is going to be there. Well, Mother Nature, she has her own ways of doing everything, so we won't know how she. If she is going to provide that 6 feet of snow, or if she's going to lay off and just get in a certain amount. But anyway, that is going to be rough for the for the Buffalo Bills this week. So and the Cleveland Browns, which needs as much help as possible. Now they do have Deshaun Watson. He is now at practice, and I believe next week he will be playing. He will be playing the week of Thanksgiving, and I can't. And let's see, the Cleveland Browns are playing at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How is that for interesting? You got the GOAT quarterback of all time versus Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and you know the dog pound that is going to be a hopping place. So definitely interesting. Now Kansas City is they got switched to the Sunday night football game. And after this win they'd had against Jacksonville. And did you know that Jacksonville, when they lost last week to the Chiefs, it was their first game that they lost by by more than a score. They had actually been playing really good. Yeah. So I mean, they're not the great team, but you can see the difference between. And I just got info. Aaron Judge. Well, there it is. Well, no, it didn't pop up. Yep. Here we go. Yep. Aaron Judge wins the AL MVP award after historic 62 home run season. Judge captured 28 of the 30 first place votes from the BBWAA, and with the other two going to Shohei Ohtani. And you know it was supposed to have been closer, but I when you make history, and I know Shohei Ohtani was making history too. But he had a phenomenal season, but hitting 62 home runs and passing passing Roger Maris, you just can't. And he nearly had the triple crown. So he almost did that. The other two, Babe Ruth and Roger Maris, did not get the triple crown. No, they didn't. So Ohtani or Judge, he had 133 runs, 131 RBIs. His OPS was 1.111. That was 1,000. So 1,000. That is awesome. Walks 111, total bases 391, and BWAR, which is what they. It's like a stat that tells you how many games that he won for the team, and that was 10.6. So, I mean, that was, oh my gosh, it was just totally amazing. And so, third place, he missed the Triple Crown by the average, batting average. He only hit 311. And Luis Alvarez hit 316, which gave him the batting title. And so now they are reportedly, the Yankees are trying, because Hank, I can't even think of his name now. The owner's name. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am losing it. I am losing it, guys. I'm sorry. Shine. I know. You know who the owner is of the Yankees. Steinbrenner. There we go. Hank Steinbrenner. They are trying to report a final offer of a 7-year, $213.5 million deal, which means he would get paid over $30 million a year. And you got to realize that Aaron Judge is like 32 or 33 years old. So this will take him into his 40s. So, and Hank Steinbrenner already said that he wants Aaron Judge to be a Yankee for life. So, I mean, and they got the money to do it. So if you got the money to do it, I guess go for it. But I am not sure if by him, getting that. Now, I'm reading on down. Let's see. Judge now figures to make much, much more than that. So they had an offer. So it's impossible to say how much that will be, but various outlets have made their estimates and guesses. MLB, Major League Baseball trade rumors has him getting 8 years at $332 million, and ESPN says 9 years at $324 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and then the 7 years, which was $213 million, was $280 million. So, I mean, either way, he is getting close to $300 million.
Now, how many years do you think those will be good years, though, with a 33-year-old?
I see. Oh, he will be 31 next year. So that helps a little bit because I was saying 32 and 33. But he will enter being 31 years old. And usually you do not get, like Bryce Harper got the big money deal. And so did Mike Trout. But they got him in their mid-20s. So they got 5 years in their prime time. Usually they say your prime years are in between 28 and 32. Now that's mainly football, but I think more it's in between 26. I'd say 26 and 32. I would say is the prime years, and even 32 is at the end, of your prime year. But this guy is 31, and they're going to pay him all this money, and so. Oh, my goodness. It is going to be really interesting on this. But, Steinbrenner said that he wants him to be a Yankee for life. So no matter what happens, he's going to get a deal. It's just what kind of deal is he going to get? So, and here's the thing. Paul Goldsmith received 22 of the 30 votes. Manny Machado had 7 for the San Diego Padres. So I thought, and it's Nolan Arenado, had only 1. But Paul Goldsmith won his first MVP award, and he was 35 years old. And the NL MVP award is now called the Hank Aaron Award as the league's top hitter. Mm-hmm. So he got that. So 35 years old, that is pretty good. I'm not sure if anybody has won an MVP at 35 or older, but he was. So Manny Machado was second, and Nolan Arenado was third place. But for Judge and Shohei Ohtani, they were 1 and 2, and that's all it really needs to matter. I was just a little surprised and a little happy that a Padre took second place in the MVP. But now we are getting close to that time, and so I am going to do Coach 24, Darwin Penny's Penny for Your Thoughts. And I am going to say it is Bob Kendrick. Bob Kendrick was found out earlier this week that he will turn the lights on at for the Kansas City Lights on Thanksgiving night. And I think that is a tremendous honor. Bob Kendrick totally, I mean, I know he has a great team working with him, but if it wasn't for him, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum would not flourish as well as it does. And he is just phenomenal. I mean, and doing the fact that Buck O'Neil had his birthday this month, and the fact that he is going to turn the lights on, and I know that Bob Kendrick is doing it in honor of Buck O'Neil, and he's doing everything he does with the museum and everything is in honor of Buck O'Neil and all those former players. So I just want to say, Bob Kendrick, that is awesome, and hopefully we can get Bob either on the show or at least by a telephone call. I'll have to give him a call and see how it is. I know he was relaxing this week. He was actually out golfing with Torrey Hunter and a whole bunch of other players. I can't remember where exactly he was at. I know he was somewhere on the East Coast on a golf vacation, which is well deserved. That man deserves any breaks that he gets. So I know that he totally enjoyed that, and I just want to say that I am honored that I can and the station KUAW can consider him a friend, and so I just think that's totally awesome. And tonight you've got Tennessee at Green Bay, and I am wearing Darren Woodson's or Charles Woodson's jersey from Super Bowl 45. He was a captain. And so, I was not going to wear Aaron Rodgers. I guess anything, if you turn the numbers around, it would be 12. But no, I do not have an Aaron Rodgers jersey. And no, I will never have an Aaron Rodgers jersey. But saying that, I am picking the Green Bay Packers to beat the Tennessee Titans. I think. Well, here's the thing: if Derrick Henry can get his running back again, because he had an off week last week, but they still ended up winning. But if they can. If he can get the running going, then they have a shot at winning. But I think Green Bay now, Aaron Rodgers has been playing a little bit better. He's finally getting some receivers to join in. He's got Lazard. He played well. And, of course, Christian Watson with 3 touchdowns. So saying that, I am going to pick the Green Bay Packers with a 27-21 victory over the Tennessee Titans. And with that, I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice, with Coach 24, my brother with another mother, Darwin Penny, and Mr. George Walker, DJ Scatter. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a great football weekend. Man,